There comes a moment when life stops making sense, when the things that used to excite you feel empty, when every day feels like a copy of the last, and you start to wonder if something inside you has quietly broken. If you're here listening to this, then you felt that heaviness. Maybe you're feeling it right now, that strange emotional numbness, like you're watching your own life from the outside. I've been there too. I remember waking up once, staring at the ceiling and thinking, why does everything feel flat? What happened to me? But here's what Seneca reminds us, and what I wish someone had told me earlier. It's not your life that has lost meaning. It's your perspective that has become clouded. Your inner lens has fogged over. This is one of the most psychologically accurate truths of Stoicism. Modern cognitive science agrees. Dr. Aaron Beck, the father of cognitive therapy, found that when we enter emotional burnout or existential fatigue, the world doesn't actually change. Our interpretation of it collapses. We lose the ability to see possibility, beauty, or direction because our inner world is overstimulated, exhausted, or overwhelmed. So if life feels pointless, you're not broken. Your mind is sending a signal. Seneca would call this signal a recall to the self, an invitation to pause, step back, and examine the deeper structures of your life. Not to judge them, not to shame yourself, but to understand the state of your inner weather. Because here's the first truth. When life feels empty, it's usually because we've drifted away from what nourishes us. We've outsourced our meaning. We've overloaded our mind. We've lost contact with our inner direction. Ask yourself, are you overwhelmed? Are you disconnected? Or have you quietly abandoned your own needs to meet everyone else's expectations? Here's the second truth Seneca gives us. A wandering mind creates a wandering life. When you lose your inner anchor, you drift. And drift always feels like meaninglessness. And here's the third truth. Feeling lost is not a failure, it's a starting point. Every Stoic transformation begins in a moment of confusion, not clarity. In a minute, I'll tell you exactly how Seneca believed we can lift ourselves out of this fog, step by step. There's something Seneca understood about the human mind that modern psychology is only now catching up to. When life feels pointless, it's usually not reality collapsing, it's your inner clarity dissolving. It's like your thoughts become heavy, your emotions become muted, and everything that used to feel vibrant suddenly feels distant. Not gone, just unreachable. Have you ever had a moment where you were surrounded by people, surrounded by noise, surrounded by tasks, yet inside it felt like nothing touched you? That strange emotional distance isn't apathy. It's not laziness. It's not a personality flaw. It's a sign that your mind is overloaded. Seneca wrote, "When the mind is in turmoil, nothing seems meaningful." And modern neuroscience confirms this. When we enter states of stress, burnout, or prolonged uncertainty, the prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain responsible for meaning, planning, and purpose, goes offline. Literally. Dr. Lisa Feldman Barrett calls this emotional depletion, a state where your brain stops generating a sense of future possibility because it's too busy trying to survive the present. Meaning doesn't disappear. Your ability to perceive meaning does. One time in my life, I remember walking into my kitchen and staring at a cup on the counter for way too long, not because the cup mattered, but because I had zero mental energy to decide anything. That tiny moment terrified me. It felt like I had lost the ability to care. But looking back, I realize I wasn't empty. I was exhausted. Seneca believed the same thing. We mistake exhaustion for emptiness. Your mind isn't telling you life has no point. It's telling you You're carrying too much. You've been running too long. You've abandoned your inner stillness. Here are the 4 biggest psychological reasons this fog appears. 1. Mental overload. Your brain isn't built for constant stimulation. News, notifications, noise, pressure. Meaning gets drowned out. 2. Disconnection from inner values. When you live on autopilot, doing what the world expects rather than what matters to you, life becomes flavorless. 3. Emotional suppression. Ignoring your feelings doesn't make them disappear. It buries them, and buried emotions create numbness. 4. Loss of agency. Feeling like life is happening to you instead of through you leads to a sense of helpless drift. Seneca said, "The mind must be given rest or it will break." Not rest as in laziness, rest as in space, reflection, quiet. In the next part, I'll show you why your mind creates this fog, and how Seneca believed we can begin clearing it, not with force, but with understanding. But before we go deeper, I'll reveal Seneca's first principle right after this quick word from today's sponsor. Word count 475. You said PLZ next part, but make sure each part length should be of 400-500 words. ChatGPT said. Part 3. Why your mind creates this feeling. Seneca believed something profoundly compassionate about the human mind, something most people never hear. When life feels pointless, your mind is not malfunctioning. It is protecting you. That heaviness you feel, that numbness, that detachment, it is not a sign of weakness. It is a sign of self-preservation. Let me explain. The brain has one primary job: survival, not happiness, not purpose, not meaning, survival. And when your mind senses emotional overload, directionlessness, or chronic stress, it initiates what psychologists call cognitive shutdown, a protective mechanism similar to a fuse blowing in a circuit. You don't lose meaning. Your brain just temporarily restricts it to reduce emotional strain. Seneca described this thousands of years ago when he wrote, "The mind withdraws when burdened by too much." He didn't call it failure. He didn't call it a flaw. He called it an instinct. Modern neuroscience agrees. According to Dr. Stephen Porges' polyvagal theory, when the nervous system feels overwhelmed, it slips into a freeze state, a biological pause button. Your emotions flatten, your motivation drops, your vision of the future dims. Not because life is pointless, but because your mind is trying to protect your inner resources. Think about it. Have you ever noticed this pattern? Right before life feels meaningless, you were carrying too much. Too many expectations. Too many obligations. Too many unresolved emotions. Too much pressure to be okay. Your mind reaches its limit, and the world loses its color. This happened to me once during a period where I was trying to be productive, supportive, ambitious, stable, responsible, everything all at once. And for days I felt nothing. Music didn't touch me. Goals didn't inspire me. Even conversations felt distant. But the moment I slowed down, everything softened. Meaning returned the way fog lifts from a mountain, gradually, quietly, naturally. Seneca teaches that these moments of collapse are a signal to turn inward, not outward. Because when your mind strips away external meaning, it's forcing you to see what's left inside. Here are the 3 lessons Seneca pulls from this state. 1. Your mind needs stillness. Not stimulation, not distraction, stillness. 2. You've drifted too far from yourself. Meaninglessness is a call back to alignment, not a verdict on your worth. 3. You must remove the unnecessary before clarity returns. Seneca said, "If you would know peace, leave the things that do not matter." In the next part, I'm going to show you exactly how Seneca believed we rediscover meaning, not by chasing it, but by clearing the inner clutter that hides it from us. Seneca believed that meaning doesn't return when you add more to your life. It returns when you remove what's draining you. He called it subtraction wisdom, and it's one of the simplest, most powerful psychological principles ever recorded. When life feels pointless, lighten the load, don't increase it. Let me ask you something, and be brutally honest with yourself. What in your life right now feels heavy? What feels misaligned? What drains you every single day? Who do you pretend to be just to avoid disappointing others? Most people don't realize this, but meaninglessness often emerges not from a lack of purpose, but from a life cluttered with the wrong purposes. Seneca wrote, "Life is not short. We make it short by wasting it." And he didn't just mean wasting time. He meant wasting energy, attention, emotional bandwidth. The Stoics understood that the human mind has a finite capacity. When too many unnecessary things occupy that space, your inner clarity gets suffocated. Modern psychology calls this cognitive overload. Dr. Daniel Levitin, a neuroscientist researching information stress, found that every new obligation, every tab open in your mind, drains your ability to experience meaning. Not because you don't have meaning, but because there's no room left to feel it. So Seneca's first instruction for hard times is simple. Start subtracting. Not everything, just one thing at a time. Let me tell you a story. A few years ago, I was suffocating under work, expectations, messages, deadlines. Every day felt like I was juggling 1,000 invisible weights. Life didn't feel pointless. I felt buried. One night, in frustration, I sat down and wrote a list of things I was doing purely out of pressure. The next morning, I crossed off just one. Just one. But that one act felt like someone cracked open a window in a dark room. Air returned. Space returned. My chest loosened. It was the smallest decision, yet it changed the emotional climate of my entire week. This is exactly what Seneca meant. You don't need a new life. You need less of what's suffocating the life you already have. Here's his process distilled into modern psychological language. 1. Identify what feels heavy. Your body already knows heaviness is a message. 2. Remove one unnecessary obligation. Just one. This is Kaizen applied to meaning. 3. Create small spaces of quiet. Even 5 minutes of intentional stillness resets the nervous system. 4. Allow the mind to breathe again. Clarity reappears not through effort, but through space. In the next part, I'll show you how Seneca guides us to rebuild direction, slowly, gently, and without pressure. Once you begin subtracting what drains you, Seneca says something almost paradoxical happens. Life begins to pull you forward again. Not with force, not with pressure, but with a quiet, natural momentum, the kind you forgot you were capable of feeling. Seneca believed that when life feels pointless, what you truly lack is not a grand purpose, but a small aim. A direction. A point on the horizon not to sprint toward, but simply to walk toward. He wrote, "If a man knows not to which port he sails, no wind is favorable." But here's the part people miss. He never said the port had to be grand. He never said it had to be permanent. He just said you need one. Modern psychology reinforces this. Dr. Edwin Locke, the father of goal-setting theory, discovered that even tiny, specific goals can dramatically increase motivation and emotional stability, because they give the brain a sense of forward motion. Humans don't thrive on intensity, we thrive on direction. Let me tell you something personal. There was a phase in my life when I woke up with no sense of where the day was going. Nothing excited me. Everything felt heavy, blurry, directionless. I kept waiting for a big revelation, that lightning strike purpose that would pull me out. It never came. What did come was something small. I decided to read 2 pages of a book each morning, just 2. Not because it was meaningful, but because it was movement. And that tiny act, 2 pages, became the thread that reconnected me to myself. Soon it turned into 3 pages, then journaling, then longer morning routines. And eventually, purpose slipped back into my life the way morning light slips through a window, gradually, gently, without asking for permission. This is Seneca's brilliance. Direction is built, not found. Purpose is grown, not delivered. Here are his 4 guiding principles for rebuilding direction. 1. Choose one small aim. Not fix my whole life. Just one thing you want to move toward, even slightly. 2. Make it stupidly achievable. The easier it is to start, the faster meaning returns. 3. Focus on consistency, not intensity. Daily progress, even tiny progress, rewires your brain. 4. Let your aim evolve naturally. What starts small often becomes profound. Seneca believed that meaning is not something we chase. It's something we uncover by walking slowly toward the things that feel alive to us. In the next part, I'll share how the Stoics handled the darkest moments of hopelessness and how they transformed despair into strength. There's a kind of heaviness that goes beyond stress, beyond confusion, a heaviness that feels like it sinks into your bones. The Stoics knew this feeling well, even if they didn't use our modern words for it. Seneca wrote openly about nights when he felt crushed by waves of emptiness, when even getting out of bed felt like a negotiation with himself. He didn't pretend to be invincible. He didn't preach cold detachment. He understood despair intimately, and that's why his advice hits so deeply. Seneca believed that when hopelessness appears, it's not a sign of emotional weakness. It's a sign that your inner resources have been stretched beyond their limit. Modern psychology echoes this. Dr. Martin Seligman, known for his work on learned helplessness, found that hopelessness is the brain's way of saying, "I've tried everything I know and nothing has worked." It's not giving up, it's running out of strategies. Seneca's insight. You don't fight hopelessness by force. You dissolve it by shifting how you see yourself within the struggle. He taught that the darkest moments of life are actually where your strength begins. Let me share something from my own life. There was a time I felt completely drained. Nothing I did seemed to work. I felt like I was failing at life in slow motion. People around me assumed I was fine. I had become good at pretending. But inside, I was floating in a kind of gray emptiness. And the more I tried to fix myself by pushing harder, the worse I felt. One night, I came across a passage from Seneca that changed everything. We suffer more often in imagination than in reality. I read it once, then again, and something clicked. My suffering wasn't just from events, it was from my interpretation of them. My imagined future, my imagined failures, my imagined expectations. I was drowning in stories my mind was inventing. Modern cognitive psychology calls this catastrophic forecasting, the brain's tendency to paint worst-case scenarios when it feels overwhelmed. Seneca saw it centuries ago. His approach to hopelessness has 3 steps. 1. Separate the facts from the fears. Ask yourself, What is actually happening and what is my mind imagining? 2. Shrink your world temporarily. Focus only on what is directly in front of you. Not tomorrow, not next year, just today. 3. Anchor yourself in something you can control. Even if it's small, your breath, your posture, your next tiny action. This is why Seneca believed that hopelessness isn't an ending point. It's a turning point. It forces you to stop living in the imagined future and return to the real, manageable present. In the next part, I'll show you how the Stoics used adversity not just to survive, but to build inner power, and how you can do the same. Seneca believed something radical, something most people never truly grasp. The very feelings that make you think your life is falling apart are actually the raw materials of your strength. The heaviness, the confusion, the numbness, the fear, these aren't signs that you're weak. They're signs that your inner world is trying to transform. They're signals, not verdicts. Stoics understood that suffering itself isn't the enemy. Unexamined suffering is. Pain becomes meaningless only when you don't understand it. But the moment you bring awareness to it, the moment you shine a light on the patterns underneath, that same pain becomes fuel. Seneca writes, "Difficulties strengthen the mind, as labor does the body." But he didn't mean this in the cliché motivational sense. He meant it literally. Modern neuroscience shows that when you face discomfort with awareness, not panic, not avoidance, the brain rewires itself. It builds resilience. It builds emotional regulation. It builds adaptability. Your struggle becomes the training ground for your future self. I once went through a period where nothing in my life made sense. I felt like I was walking through fog, blindfolded. Every day felt pointless. Everything felt too heavy. And then, slowly, I started asking a different question. Not, why is this happening to me? But, what is this trying to teach me? That small shift changed everything. Seneca believed that adversity is the universe testing your relationship with yourself. Not to break you, but to reveal you. Because you learn who you are by watching how you respond when things stop making sense. Here are the Stoic mindset shifts that turn pain into power. 1. Don't resist your feelings, examine them. Resistance amplifies suffering. Observation dissolves it. 2. Don't seek comfort before clarity. Comfort without understanding keeps you stuck. Clarity, even painful clarity, frees you. 3. Let adversity refine you, not define you. Stoics didn't ask for an easy life. They asked to become strong enough to face a hard one. 4. Remember that meaning is not found, it's created. Purpose is something you shape through small, courageous decisions in dark times. When you take this approach, your suffering stops being chaos and starts being instruction. Meaninglessness becomes direction. Emptiness becomes space. Pain becomes power. In the next part, I'll bring everything together and show you how to turn Seneca's wisdom into a daily practice. One that doesn't just get you through hard times, but reshapes who you become because of them. Seneca didn't believe in waiting for meaning to magically return. He believed in cultivating it gently, intentionally, consistently, through a daily ritual that brings your mind back to itself. And if you felt lost, numb, or directionless lately, this practice is exactly what you need. Not a massive life overhaul, not a sudden breakthrough, just a small, grounded way to return to your center every single day. Seneca's practice has 3 parts: reflection, reduction, and realignment. And when you understand how these work together, life stops feeling like an endless blur and starts feeling like something you're actually part of again. Let's break it down. 1. Reflection. How did I live today? Every evening, Seneca would sit alone and review his day with brutal honesty, not to judge himself, but to understand himself. He wrote, "When the light has been removed and my wife has fallen silent, I examine my entire day." This wasn't about perfection, it was about awareness. Modern psychology calls this active self-monitoring, and studies show it increases emotional clarity, reduces anxiety, and restores agency. Ask yourself nightly, where did I drift? Where did I feel alive? Where did I act against my own values? This practice alone restores meaning, because meaning comes from seeing yourself clearly. 2. Reduction. What can I remove tomorrow? Seneca believed meaninglessness grows where unnecessary burdens live. So each night, he identified one thing he could subtract the next day, one source of heaviness, one draining obligation, one expectation that wasn't truly his. This is pure Stoic Kaizen. Small improvement, small subtractions, big shifts. 3. Realignment. What tiny aim will guide me? Seneca didn't chase huge purposes. He chose small, grounded aims, tiny actions that brought him closer to who he wanted to be. This is what modern psychologists call behavioral activation, a proven method for restoring motivation and meaning by doing small, intentional actions. Your aim could be: read one page, walk 5 minutes, clean one object, write one sentence, something small enough to complete, something meaningful enough to shift your inner state. And here's the truth no one tells you. Meaning doesn't come from grand gestures. It comes from daily alignment. Seneca believed that if you reflect honestly, remove gently, and realign intentionally, you cannot stay lost, because you are actively returning to yourself every single day. So if life feels pointless right now, breathe. You are not broken. You are being invited back into your own life. And maybe, just maybe, this moment, this hard, confusing moment, isn't the end of your meaning, but the beginning of your transformation. If you're still here, listening to my voice right now, pause for a moment, because it means something important. You haven't given up on yourself, even if life has felt heavy, confusing, or painfully empty. You're still searching, still listening, still trying, and that alone is proof of your strength. Seneca would say that anyone who is willing to examine their suffering has already begun to rise above it, and you've done that, right here, right now. So take a breath and let yourself feel a quiet pride. Not for being perfect, not for having everything figured out, but for staying on the path, even when the path felt invisible. Life will get clearer, meaning will return. Maybe slowly, maybe quietly, but inevitably. Because you're no longer drifting, you're turning inward, realigning with yourself, and choosing to move with intention. Remember, your darkest moments aren't signs of failure. They're invitations. And the person you're becoming on the other side of all this, they're wiser, they're calmer, and they're stronger than you realize. Until next time, take care of your mind. It's leading you home.